Guys, if you're just joining, please go to the activities section. It's the triangle, square, circle, and place your vote for the poll I've got running. Place your vote for the poll I've got running, please. If you're on your phone, it should be somewhere near the bottom of your screen. You're looking for a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you're just joining, please cast your vote on the polls section. Who needs help and can't find the polls? We got half of you guys have voted. George.
Yes, I can find in my phone to vote.
Yeah. Can you tap the bottom of your screen? Are you in the app?
Yeah, I am. I just see the mute button for recording voice and camera, a hand, and when I
You see
press,
three dots?
yes,
Maybe it's in the three dots.
yes, I have here in call message, share screen, share options, report problem settings, report abuse, activities. Maybe it's activities.
Yeah, activities. That's
Yes,
where you want to be.
it's here. Yes, let me open. Well, you can
I'm
follow
still
with
waiting on 10 votes, guys. I do
Okay.
want everybody to be comfortable with the polls because I want to start using these more. You're looking for activities option. You're looking for a triangle, a square, a circle. All right, all but 5 at this point. Okay, cool. So we've got about half of you feel like you're all good with the new rules. Half of you are still boarding at the station, just a little bit of clarity needed. A few on not sure where to board, and luckily nobody checked the last one. So appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time. Just trying to see how much time we got to devote to this stuff. So let's just start with a few wins. Who's got something? George.
Okay. Good morning. I was a little worried about what is gonna happen with the like me. I'm a buyer realtor, but right now I'm working with 2 clients and they understand exactly what happening and they understand about the commission that I received. So they tell me, don't worry. When we see the property, we make the offer, and if it's accepted, we can ask the seller to give your commission. If not, we are going to pay it. So in my case with the 2 clients, I don't have problem with that right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. One thing to talk about, guys, here, when a client says, yep, no problem, I can pay it, let's just make sure we're talking to the lender to make sure the lender agrees that they've actually got the funds to actually pay. Right.
Okay.
So just when you're working with the lender and we're getting somebody pre-approved and they say, no problem, I'll pay it directly. Hey, let's check with the lender, Mr. Lender, just trying to make sure that in that pre-approval, you're factoring in them paying me directly just in case, or you know what? Nope, we're going to have to build this into the deal. They don't have enough in reserves to be able to pay you direct. So we should know that stuff. These are questions that we should be asking the lender up front. Justin, I think you were next.
I had a pretty cool win. I want to say it was the day before yesterday, but I had a couple that I had sold their villa. I want to say it was like June of last year. And they were for sale by owner. And I ended up getting them to list with me about 30 days or so. They were on market, didn't see action. And I listed their property, and this market was not like this at the time, but we ended up selling within 2 hours, multiple offers. And it was a Del Webb community, if anyone's familiar with that. But it was a really great experience. And I thought, it was great. We had a good connection, but it's not really anything where we talk very often since then. But I still send little Christmas gifts or cards or thank yous and stuff like that, just to kind of stay in front of them. Well, I got a call day before yesterday. They'd sent a neighbor my way and said that they told them they had a really great experience with me, and they wanted me to come preview their home today to get it listed. And that one, just looking at comps, we're going to be right around 650, 700. So incredibly excited for that one.
Awesome. Great share. Great job staying in touch. The pros moving forward, we've got to make sure that we are getting repeat and referral business out of our past clients. So great job staying in touch there. Another plug to make sure your profiles online everywhere, your Zillow, your realtor.com, your Google, your reviews are in. You're running a contest with your old past clients in Sphere if you don't have those reviews in yet. Because if you thought it was a review economy before, it's going to be even more important here moving forward. Get your headshots updated. I look at some people's Zillow profile. There's a headshot there. It's off-centered. It's cut off. It wasn't professionally done. That's the start. That's your first impression, right, to a new potential buyer. So if you're doing anything to put in the work and get ready, I'd make sure your profiles are looking sharp. Trevor, what do you got?
I've got my first listing coming up this week, so I'm pretty excited. And the way that I got this one was, it was a buyer's lead through Zillow, and we were looking at this condo, and even though she didn't like the condo, I was just asking questions, and she had mentioned that she needed to sell her home. So asked her a couple questions about that, but didn't want to overload her at that first meeting. So we set up a date from that day to have me come take a look at her house, and kind of got the ball rolling there.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, and it's a little bit of a dance there, right? You don't want to sniff out, oh my God, you got a home to sell. Let me come over and take a look at it. Right. So I think you played your cards well there, right? We want to be going in for the kill first date, right? Let's date a little bit. Let's have some conversation. Let's build some rapport. We're definitely noting in our CRM, hey, I got a potential seller here, right? And maybe the first thing is just set them up on a seller home alert, right? Put the address in there so if you can get the address, and you're not even pressing that much. So great job of just kind of doing the dance there a little bit and not going in for the kill too early.
Yeah,
Who else has got?
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm going to say we actually just got her condo that she was really hoping for under agreement as well. So now we just have to list.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you've got the right contingencies in that offer. Does she need to sell it before she buys?
So at first we thought that that's how we were going to go, was with a home sale contingency. But she kind of let me know when it was time to write the offer that she had some assets to liquidate. So we ended up being able to go straight cash.
So we're buying in cash. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Just another point to clarify here. Just because the client tells you they're good to go, right? In this case, cash, I'm assuming she showed you some proof of funds or something. But sometimes the client's going to say, oh, yeah, I don't need to sell my house in order to buy. We need to hear those words from the lender, right? We need to hear that directly from the lender. Yep. Right? Because the debt to income ratios could throw somebody off once they pull up that new debt. So make sure you're checking with the lender on those scenarios. That's who we want to hear those words from. Who else has got a win? Maybe something to do with the new settlement rules. Anybody got something along those lines? Margareta.
Well, actually, I mentioned it yesterday, but I feel so happy because I actually got my offer accepted yesterday on the new forms. And I think I brought it up to the table yesterday about that we didn't know about the commission. And the other agent actually, because it was like a multi-offer situation, I got it. And she actually adjusted that by herself when she resent the form back to me to get like approved, obviously, by my buyer. And I guess I had enough conversations with the buyer where I explained to her again, hey, they're actually offering some towards my commission. You will be responsible for the other half. And the buyer was perfectly fine with it. She's like, yeah, you definitely deserve it. So I was like, oh my God, this is easier than I thought, maybe. Let's keep going, right?
Good. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. It's simple if we have the right conversation, but the business is still going to be difficult moving forward. There's nothing easy about this business. There never will be. I think it's going to get even more difficult. But the nice thing about the experience that you guys are building is that it does get a little bit easier as you build the deals and the knowledge and the situational awareness. Anybody else have a win or something that they want to share? Angela.
Yeah, so couple little wins here. So finally closed on a property yesterday with Semper Home Loans after 3 extensions. Just some different issues. My client, first the seller, we had some roofing issues we had to get through to get the home insured. So that kind of delayed our closing. Then 4 days before we're supposed to close, Semper reruns the credit to find out my client co-signed on a student loan for his daughter for $140,000. So that obviously threw a wrench into our deal, but Semper really pulled it out. I mean, really, Eric's whole team here in Florida and Stephanie reworked the whole loan for us so we could end up closing yesterday. So that was a win for sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, I'll let you finish on your third point, but guys, in there, right? We've got to stress an email to your client saying, don't buy anything. Don't buy a new car. Don't buy, furniture for the house. An email is not going to suffice. We've got to drill it into their head. You've got to have a lending partner that's drilling it into their head. Do not buy anything. Do not sign for anything. And just keep reminding them, right? And just say, hey, I know this sounds weird, but I've had it happen and I don't want it to happen to you. Please don't sign anything until this deal is through. Please don't change, your position at work. Don't take a new deal. Don't change jobs, right? It's our job as the professionals to be having these conversations. And even if we have them, they still might go and do something stupid, right? But at least you've done everything. An email doesn't suffice. All right? What was the third one, Angela?
Well, no, absolutely. And I did tell him that. It's just the way it kind of appeared. He did it before we even wrote the offer. It just didn't pop up or anything on his credit report, kind of in the midst of kind of going through everything. It didn't pop up until right before closing. But you're 100% right, because I always tell my clients, don't even go buy a mattress and put it on a credit card. Don't buy anything until we're all done, closed, and recorded. They still sometimes don't get it. My second win is yesterday I ended up writing an offer last night. It's actually for another Roe v. Agent's property, condo for sale here in Sarasota. And I got my buyers to pay my commission.
Beautiful. They're paying direct. We're not building it into the deal.
Correct.
Awesome. And we've checked with the lender and the lender says, yep, they can do it.
He's cash.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, he's cash. But it was just, it was just a conversation. It was, we really went in and negotiated down the asking price of the condo. And basically we're kind of going back and forth that, we can possibly, entertain that asking price, but the seller wanted my commission to be paid by the buyer to get it done, and had a conversation with the buyers. Took a little bit of communicating back and forth, but at the end of the day, they were willing to do it.
That's awesome. Great share. And just guys, once we start structuring the deals like this, we've got to make sure everybody is on board. The lender needs to be aware. Buyer is paying my commission. The attorneys or the title companies need to be aware right off the rip. Once we structure these deals, all of this needs to get communicated, whether it's an addendum to the contract, it's a separate agreement, whatever the case might be, depending on the state that you're practicing in. Please make sure all parties right off the get know what's going on in this deal. All right, anybody else want to share something new? Settlement. So Margaret, who holds the money? Depends on the states. On who holds it. I think in the title states, it's typically the title companies are holding the escrow. In attorney states, it can be a mix. Sometimes it's the attorneys, sometimes it's the brokerages. So traditionally in Massachusetts, especially in Western Massachusetts, you got a lot of attorneys who are not used to holding escrow. So it's something that we might see change, but just kind of the standard for your market. Pat, go ahead.
So yeah, I wrote a couple offers in the last few days, and this was actually popping in my head. So if it's a situation where we're writing in compensation, is the list side still holding escrow on the deposits. Like I assume that's still the way it's going to work, right? Because those deposits are what binds the deal. So are they holding, and then at the end of the transaction, those come back to the attorneys, or should we be having a conversation with the list agent on every transaction? Like, hey, I'm writing an offer. Who do you want to hold it? Because typically you just go into the MLS and find that particular, whatever the agency is, and you just put that into that box, right? But is that what we should be doing still?
Yeah, I wouldn't change whatever you guys have previously done in your markets. I think the deposits still go there for now. So, whatever's been standard in the past in your market, that's where the deposit should go. So let's say, I don't know, we got a $10,000 deposit and the listing side only has a $7,000 commission, then they will keep $7,000, and then at the closing, $3,000 will get returned to the title or escrow or attorneys, and then they'll figure out how to adjust those funds. So a lot of times, if you're holding excess deposit, it just gets returned back to the attorneys, and they do their thing. So, all right, great question. Who else has got something? I guess the messaging that I had today that was kind of just in the back of my mind, and we saw a lot of it this morning, which is what I'm really stoked about where this call is going, is experience shares versus advice. So as many of you know, I'm part of a group called EO. That's the Entrepreneur Organization. It's a global organization that has chapters in most major cities. So I am part of the Boston chapter. I'm part of a little forum of right now 7 people. We meet once a month, all business owners, and we talk some shop, we talk personal stuff. But one of the core principles of EO is that you don't give other people in your forum advice. Everything is done via the way of an experience share, right? So, hey, here's my experience. Take out of it what you will. So I'm not giving you advice on what I think you should do given your, employee that's unhappy. Right? I can tell you, I had a similar experience, and here's what happened. Right? And I think it's a really important distinction that I had never heard of before joining EO a few years ago. And it's something that I love when it happens here, right? You guys are just sharing, you're not telling other people what to do. And so when you hear me say that, right, everybody's situations could be different. Their deals could be different. Their personal life could be different. But just sharing experiences and letting others draw their own conclusions from those experiences, I think is the best way to share. And I came across a little, I guess this is a metaphor about how advice is like clothing that I just thought was a little humorous, and I figured I'd share with you because I think it goes along with my messaging for today. So it said, life is like clothing. Try it on, and if it doesn't fit, discard it and try something else. And when you grow, don't be surprised when the old advice needs to be changed out for the new. Like clothing, when you finish with a piece of advice that no longer fits, don't throw it away. Pass it on to someone else that it might fit. Like clothing, bad quality advice will only last a few weeks, while high quality advice will last a lifetime. Like clothing, some advice quickly goes out of style, while other advice is timeless. Like clothing, some advice may require tailoring, a little adjustment here or there to better fit your personal situation and style. Like clothing, don't be afraid to experiment with bold or unconventional advice that can redefine your identity, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first. Like clothing, advice often comes in layers. Some pieces provide a foundation, while others add depth or protection, building on top of each other to create a complete picture. Like clothing, advice that's comfortable today might become restrictive tomorrow as you evolve. Keep moving forward and find what fits your new self. Like clothing, one size doesn't fit all. What works for one person might not work for another. It's essential to find the advice that complements your unique shape and needs. And like clothing, trends come and go, but the classic essentials, wisdom, kindness, resilience, never go out of style. So I love what we do here. I think the way that you guys share is what really makes this call. I love doing a little bit of personal growth at the beginning, and hopefully that you guys get some stuff out of that. But it's really the experience shares that hopefully just open a door for somebody to, Jesus, I didn't even think that that could happen, or I can't believe that happened on her deal. Man, that might be happening on my deal. I didn't even realize it. Right. So just coming to these calls with experiences, just even the way you share your wins, right? Trevor didn't just share a win. He talked a little bit about how it all happened. And I think it's the little details that can help just jog something for you guys. So with that, let's just open it up. Who's got a question or something that you need help on, or maybe something else non-settlement related that might help the group? Sue, what do you got?
I found, well, yesterday I had an appointment to show a 3-family in Springfield, and I did not do a buyer's consultation ahead of time. I think with these new rules of compensation, it's really important to do a buyer's consultation ahead of time of showing someone a property. Because when I did it on the, in the driveway, the gentleman said, well, geez, my wife was supposed to come. I don't want to sign anything about any compensation. So I guess we're not going to see this today. So I think it's really
So
important.
you didn't end up showing the property?
No.
Okay. So did you try doing just a compensation agreement just for that one property to say, hey, look, I understand this is a unique situation. It's a little uncomfortable for me too, to be honest, right? And just some transparency. So here's what I'm going to do. Why don't we just make this agreement for this one property? I'll show it to you. If you end up, wanting to make an offer, I can help you to do that. And then let's just sit down and have a 15, 20-minute conversation about how I go about my business, and if you feel like this is a good partnership, then maybe we can sign an extended agreement.
Yeah,
So,
I did that. I said,
and he wouldn't, even for the one property.
He didn't want to do it.
Okay. Anybody been in a similar situation? Martin, I see your hand up.
So I had a Slack lead yesterday. Appointment was made, everything. I actually try to get a hold of the client beforehand to kind of give them a heads up, like this is what's going to be, there's some new rules, stuff like that. So unfortunately, same as Sue, in the driveway, mom's there, the buyer and her fiance. I'm like, listen, I apologize to do this, but I can't show you this house because they're like looking at me. I'm like, listen, this just started Saturday. I'm just doing it for this one home. If you like it, then just like you said, we'll move on. Unfortunately, I guess I was lucky where my buyers were a little bit more, lenient with it, understanding. I was nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie, where it's like, shit, I'm meeting these people for the first time. It's like, here, sign this before I can even show it to you.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is your people were willing to do the one day.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I think the other thing, and I don't know if you ended up using it, Martin, or not, but we created text and email templates for you guys to share. If this was in Connecticut, this is actually law. So you could just share the law. Hey, not sure, if you were aware, but this is law in Connecticut. For other states, hey, here's the new rules, here's the settlement. And just so that they can see that this is a real thing, and showing them from a third party source that we're not just making this up. So did you have to use that, Martin, or were you able to just talk your way through it?
I just basically explained to him, that it's a new rule that just started on Saturday. That now, if it's not going to be just me, it's any realtor that's a professional. I told them that you're going to have to sign this no matter what. So,
I mean, it sounds shady as all hell. Oh yeah, this just started on Saturday. Can you sign here? Right? I mean, if they're not aware, it definitely sounds a little weird. So that's why I'd like you guys to be equipped with that third party data. You can say, hey, look, here's the deal. So Trevor, you had your hand up. What do you got?
I was just going to say, I've come across this a couple times, and I was trying to do it a couple days even before Saturday just to get used to it, just get used to having those conversations. And something that helped me was giving them a call before, the night before going to see the property, and just kind of giving them a heads up on the new rules and explaining it the best I could in that moment, and then letting them know, like, we can go through it. If you have any questions about it, we can go deeper into it. But just giving them that heads up the night before, I feel like for me is a little more comfortable than waiting to do it at the property.
Yeah, Trevor, have you shared that third party, articles or anything like that, so that they, it's not just you saying it, or have you not gone that far?
I have not gone that far yet, but I'll look into those so that I can have those equipped as well.
Yeah. Tracy.
Yeah, I had one that wanted me to show a property on Saturday, and I was really squeezing him in. Um, so I set the appointment, and then I called back when it was confirmed, and I let him know, hey, just by the way, I don't know if you heard about the changes, for the NAR, but we're required to sign a contract, and I don't want to pressure you, but we can just do a day or one property. And the prospective buyer was like, absolutely not. No, you can just cancel the appointment. I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. I'll go ahead and I'll cancel. And I did. And it was on the news. Joe Kelly did the segment on the news. I think it was Friday or Saturday night, that the biggest change is exactly what we're mentioning. So hopefully the word will trickle out. So it won't be so hard on us trying to convince people to do this. Um, you know, um, so I think more the word gets out, it'll be easier for us. It'll just come naturally, just a matter of, I would prefer to tell them up front. I don't want to do a driveway thing. I feel like it's so awkward and I don't want to drive and waste my time, waste my gas. So that's how I prefer to do it.
Sure. Yeah, I think sharing the NAR, when they go to share the link from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors has a big article up that says starting, on the 17th, this happens. I mean, you send that to them and I think they're going to know it's real. I mean, you can't make it up at that point. And so I think third party like that, maybe, if some other news stations, I don't know if anybody else has like a big news publication that they've seen this from, just, hey, here's a couple of different sources. I'm not making this up. This really did just change on the 17th. So Frankie, I think you were next.
Yeah, so I have a client that I've worked with him for a few months now. Nice guy, good guy. He's looking for a very specific property. So I finally found another one that he likes. We got there, and I already had the contract basically filled out because I figured it'd be like a slam dunk. He's just gonna sign it. And then I gave it to him to sign the new contract, and he kind of bugged out. Not because of signing the contract with me. He's like, Lou, I'm going to work with you and everything's all good, but he's like, I don't want to be on the hook for this 2.5%. And I'm like, and I try to explain to him, like, we can work it into the deal. It's going to be fine. Most sellers are still offering compensation. But like that was his whole hang up, was he doesn't want to have to pay it out of my pocket. He's like, of course I want you to get paid, blah, 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 blah. He goes, but it's kind of bullshit. And I'm like, listen, man, I understand, but I tried telling him over and over. I go, we'll find a way. It's not just going to come out of your pocket. You don't got to swipe a card with me, bro. Like, don't worry. It's going to be okay. He just would not budge. Like, everything was cool, but he just would not budge on signing the contract. I even went with the one day deal. Go, hey, man, we'll just do it for this day. We're still going to work together. I'm still going to send you properties. We'll just sign the contract for just today because we're looking at this one house. And maybe it was my fault. It was raining cats and dogs. I think it was Sunday. It was horrendously raining. So I opened the door so we could talk inside and get it done like in the living room to get the contract done. So I already had the door open. So I'm like, man, listen. He was like, and he kept going on. I just want to be in the hook. I still want to be in the hook. And he wouldn't sign. So I said, look, I'm just going to keep this contract. I'm going to put it in your file. I'm just going to note that you didn't want to sign, and I didn't show you the property. You know what I mean? He was already in the door. It was a quick thing, so I kind of feel like I had a fail on that one, but I didn't lose my client.
Yeah.
Which is only
Yeah,
good
look,
part
I
about
think
it that I see.
Yeah, I think what you really got to have is now you've got to have a full-blown buyer's conversation, and explain that all agents are in the same boat, right? We can't work for free. Anybody that you're going to want to go show you houses is going to have to make you sign the same thing, and none of them are going to do it for $500, right? We got to get compensated, and so you're going to be in the same boat no matter who you try and buy through. Like this is how we make a living. right? And like you said, our expectation is we should be able to build this into the deal. Slash, right? I've got a preferred lender that's willing to contribute, right? So be talking and getting your people over to Semper Home Loans. They've got it where you can build it right into the loan up to 1% of your commission. So have those conversations. Lauren.
Yeah, I just had two thoughts. So first one is as far as local news stations, I think every single one of them this weekend covered it everywhere. And then second thought was our AI calling now has built in the objection of the buyer contract into every scenario, every personality that they have. So if you want some practice before getting in front of clients, going to recommend that we utilize those calling numbers with the AI calling to get, you know, some practice to hear maybe some potential feedback on those conversations.
And just if you guys aren't familiar with that, just go into Zendesk for our Rovi agents and just put what do they search up, Lauren, for that? AI.
Or
I think you just search AI calling or AI bots or role play, or
yeah.
if you're breaking
Sorry.
up, Lauren, maybe you can put it into the
Yeah,
chat.
AI calling.
AI calling. Great. Yeah, and it's just a phone number that you can call, and there's an AI bot that you can have a conversation with. It's going to try and make your life difficult about getting that buyer contract signed, right? And then it's going to score you. It's going to give you some feedback, some tips and tricks, and then try again. Justin.
That's one more thing to that. I don't know if it was you, Steve, or if it was another agent, but I'd also seen it posted on, I don't know, it was a post somewhere. And they had used the analogy that it was going to be like going to see the doctor. You're going to bill the insurance company 9 times out of 10, insurance is going to cover it. But for that, you know, one time that they don't, like, you still have that option to either A, find a new home, B, you know, we can look at other resources for paying that commission, or C, they can pay it themselves. So I feel like it did a good job of kind of like lightening that conversation a little bit, so it doesn't sound so heavy, and it's like, oh, well, it makes sense, you know. It's especially because everybody's been so accustomed to having the seller pay. This isn't something that I feel like is going to go away overnight, and that's not what I'm seeing either. Most of these listings that I've come across are all offering that commission still it's around the same amount, but you know, there's just a little bit more negotiation that I'm seeing. But as far as approaching that buyer's consult conversation, I feel like using that analogy has helped me, and it just makes it a little less scary. And I do tell them, like, I will try my hardest to make sure that you're not having to pay that out of pocket. And I do want to make sure to, you know, convey that to the seller. You know, my buyer's got to bring all this cash, everything to the table. You guys are barely anything out of pocket. Can you cut us some slack and, you know, kind of go in, or, you know, phrase it a little nicer. But I really like that analogy because, like I said, it really just helps to make that conversation a little easier.
Yeah. And I think just making sure that the buyers understand all the other buyers are in the same boat, right? They don't want to have to pay either. This is how the industry is going to work now. Most people are going to be building into the deal. Nicole, I know you were first, Lauren, but I just want to hear from Nicole because I know Connecticut's been doing this all along. So I don't know if she has some insight. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, besides Frankie, because obviously his was the commission thing, the other agents that have seen this happen, did you guys ask what the buyer's concern was? Because I think it could be one of those situations too where we're just assuming it's the commission, but they could have some other reason why they don't want to sign. Have they been, all the reasons that we've been dealing with in Connecticut are still out there, even though the commission is the biggest thing right now? You know, are they possibly going to work with a family member so they don't want to sign? Have they been burnt by an agent before? So I just think opening up that dialect, even if it's in the driveway, of just what their concern is of why they're not signing, so you can address what the actual issue is.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I know Nicole's brought this up quite a bit when we talk about how this was going to play out, because she's seen it. She's been seeing it for years now in Connecticut, which is a lot of times it's something else. They don't want to sign because they were just using you to open that door that one day, and really they're going to use Aunt Susie when it comes push to shove, right? So that could be going on, or like she said, hey, I worked with an agent in the past, it didn't go great, I'm a little hesitant. Right now, you got to build up why they, that's not going to happen when they use you. Lauren.
I just had a final thought off of what Chasten was saying. And she's still seeing some that are having that commission being offered. And I just want everybody to realize that there's still contracts out there that were written before the change. So we are going to have probably at least a couple weeks, month or so overlap where we are still having contracts that are going to be broker to broker. And I think once we hit probably about that month point is when we're going to start seeing a majority where we have to write them into offers and we're not going to be seeing the broker to broker anymore.
Yeah. And I think, the other conversation, is, hey, we used to do this prior to the rules, even if you weren't, well, I was going to use like the kind of the for sale by owner over the off market, right? There was no offer of compensation on an off market deal or a FSBO. What did we do? Right? We structured the deal. Either the buyer paid or we built it in. And so just explaining to them, yes, it's new because it's for all properties now, but we've done deals like this before, right? And I personally haven't had a scenario where I couldn't build it into the deal. I've done a lot of off market, I've done a bunch of for sale by owners. And so just having that conversation that, yeah, I guess it could happen where they just won't allow you to build it into the deal, but 99% of the time, kind of like Shaston was saying, like you should be able to build this into the deal. And no, to be honest, there's not another option here, right? These are the rules now. So no matter who you call to go see this property, that's going to be what they're asking you to do. Everybody's got to get paid. Any final thoughts before we call it a wrap today? All right, as you're going about your day today, please, take the time to just jot down something. Hey, this would be a great share for morning call, or hey, I'd love to get the feedback of the group on morning call because we're working at this thing together. We're going to get through this together, and I think every little share that you guys can bring, scenario that you guys can bring, just helps everybody. So go have yourselves a great Tuesday, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
We have a
Thank
Q&A
you.
on forms if you have any questions in your calendars today at 11.
Okay.
Q&A on
Thank you,
forms,
Steve.
11 a.m.
Thanks, Lauren.
Bye, guys.